we remember everything from past lives and from being in the world of spirit. And that at a certain point, an angel comes down and takes their finger and presses it on our upper lip and says, shh. And that's why we have that little dimple on the top of our lip, which I think is a beautiful story.
Yes. I remember you sharing that.
Yeah.
No, so, Debbie, let's just go back a little bit. You said that your best friend found out you were psychic when she was 43?
Yeah.
When you were 43?
I know, right? Wow. She was 43. I was 46.
And how do you hide that from your best friend?
I've known her since I was 15.
So she had to know something. Come on.
She had no clue.
Wow.
How was that possible?
She had no psychic dar.
So well. I hid it so well. But it was the 70s,
Okay, so...
You were just afraid? I'm sorry, Chris.
No, go ahead, River.
Were you just afraid to tell? Or what? You just don't want to be judged?
I think it had a lot to do with what happened when I was younger. You tell someone the truth and you're almost put in an institution. Well, I had a lot of friends in high school. I didn't want to be ostracized from my friends, so I hid it. And, it got to be a little hard sometimes because you'd be sitting there and you'd see spirit and you'd kind of be looking like that. And, it got to the point where they were like, oh, yeah, you're just being ADD or something because it was like, oh, look, shiny, And so I just let them go with that. I'm like, you know what, that's easier because it got to be a joke,
Okay, so she finds out that you're psychic. So
yeah,
come on, Debbie, you're full of shit. Well,
I remember the exact moment. It was when, I think it was when Is Your House Haunted came out, and she was in town from New York, and we met at IHOP for breakfast.
Love IHOP.
I love IHOP. Oh man, their banana pecan pancake. Anyway, we were sitting there, and she looked at me, and she dropped it. She's always wanted to be blunt, and she went, "Why didn't you tell me you could see ghosts?" And I just kind of looked at her and said, "And what would you have said?" She goes, "I don't know. You never gave me that chance." And I said, "Well, it's just one of those things." But she's good with it now, but I'm not sure she would have been as good with it at that age, at 15.
You know what's funny? I have a friend, Ted, who actually was on our show a couple of weeks ago interviewing us. And he said to me, I don't know, about a year ago, he goes, "Chris, do you remember, telling me that you see ghosts and everything when we were like 7? And I'm like, no, I have no recollection of that at all. In my mind, I didn't start seeing spirit until I was like 10. But apparently, I was 7 and 8 years old talking with my friends saying, oh, there's ghosts over here, there's spirit, or whatever I was saying. I have no recollection of that whatsoever at such a young age.
Mm-hmm.
It's just odd. Go ahead, Victor, you want to take the next one?
Debbie, do you have any other psychic gifts and abilities?
Psychometry. When you can hold an object and...
Wow.
That one's fun at a party.
Oh, yeah.
I'm actually teaching that this Monday in my psychic development class in Brooklyn, psychometry. I'm looking forward to it.
Psychometry, yeah.
Yeah.
Psychometry, and I think this goes along with it, but like if I touch a building, I see things that happened there in the past. I can walk into a building like an old house. Like we have this place by us, Greenfield Village. It's a historical village, kind of famous. And they have like Thomas Edison's house there and all these old houses. And they hate me because I'll walk in and go, well, this is all the original furniture. And I'm going, yeah, not so much. Because I have...
Do they challenge you?
I usually don't say it out loud, because they don't like that when you're going, actually, this was over there, this was over here, this was never in this house. You just can't go in and do that. It's kind of rude.
You can do it.
I'm somewhat empathic, I think, but not a lot because I don't like being empathic. So I think I try to shut that down, so I can focus on other things.
Well, I'll say one thing. I think being an empath is one of the hardest things to shut down.
I don't even know.
It's nearly impossible in my book. Now, Vic, come on, River, you guys got to agree with that.
I do.
You know,
so hard.
I fought empathy for years, and I told Chris, one of the first things I said to Chris, what was one of the first things we talked about? How I hated physical mediumship and feeling what was going on, but I do it, and I resigned to it.
You're getting very more into it, I would say.
But I think that empathy is the hardest one to control.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's harder to distinguish, is this my thought or is this someone else's?
Not so much, but what is hard for me is that I feel other people's pain. But I've learned to be able to process and understand the pain without having to physically feel the pain. It took me a long time to get to that point.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll feel the pain sometimes, like if there's a spirit and they want to let me know how they died. It's like either my lungs will hurt or my head will hurt or something. They have this way of like making whatever part of their body was either sick or hurt, injured. They have a way of making that hurt.
Yep.
So that you know.
We had an investigation at a place called the Kreischer Mansion in Staten Island, and I knew that it was a mafia and a gangland hangout, and that's all I really knew about it. And Chris, you want to tell them what happened to me on the second floor?
Well, Victor felt like he got shot, I think, 3 times.
3 times, right.
And he actually went down.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Again, my old website, I had pictures of Victor on the floor, but all those pictures, unfortunately, are gone now.
I started at one point in the room. I felt like there was a burning pain in my back, and I started running for the door, and I felt 2 more, and I went down.
And then someone was shot 3 times in the back.
Absolutely.
The coward.
It was very, very, very interesting. But isn't go ahead, River, you had something you wanted to say. Go ahead.
It's okay. Well, I kind of wanted to ask a question, and it's kind of related. Do you feel like, being that we are empathic here, do you feel like it's a different feeling when you are with someone having a reading, like a living individual, or somebody who's already passed over? Do you feel it's different, the empathy, that the way you feel it, is it different for you?
Was that for Debbie, right?
Any of you, all of you.
Go ahead, Debbie.
It's different for me. Totally. Because if it's empathy of spirit, they're usually showing me the emotion in a picture or a movie. If it's empathy, or they're telling me how they died. They're showing me how they died, but it's not a severe pain. It's just a little twinge, so I know. If it's a living person, the feelings are much more intense, and they're harder to push away. For me, anyway.
Isn't it interesting? Go ahead, Victor. Go ahead.
I would say I would agree with her, and further to that, I can immediately, even without seeing the person's face, if I'm within 20 feet of a person who's an energy vampire, I can pick them out in the crowd.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just hypersensitive to energy vampires. So.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm the same way, Victor. I think we all are. But I just want to say, isn't it interesting how we all process energy differently? Victor and I were actually speaking about this up in Salem, how, with me, it comes through me, I experience it, and it's gone. And I know immediately what's going on. With Victor, it takes a little bit longer, and he processes it very, very deeply. Now, River, I don't know how you are. You're like Vic. And River, how are you with processing something that's going on? Like when you're in the moment, when energy is coming through you, when there's a feeling, is it a quick thing or?
It's always different, but there is a level of deep that I cannot describe for anybody. That's how I got the name River, right? Because when I was little, this energy flowed, and it would just happen, and it didn't matter if it was tears or laughter, or I was busting people out left and right. And and to this day, I find it that way. I can kind of say, you know what, I don't really want to connect that deep. And I can try to back off, but there'll be times where I'm still caught off guard. and it's going to happen anyway. And if I'm not thinking about it at all, then it does really consume me. I have to control it, or try to, and I don't think we really can. Well, some people say they can, but that's not me. That's not me.
Chris, I process things so much, my wife calls me a processtitute.
I believe that, but I just find it very interesting that how we all could process the same thing so differently. Like Victor and I were in the same spot. Now I felt what he was feeling, but it happened so fast that I feel it and it's gone. And then Victor's there and he's like really connecting with whatever's going on. You want to say the energy, whatever is going on at that moment. You connect up with it on such a deep level, whereas it just kind of comes and goes. I feel it, I know it, and I move on.
We each process. I'm sorry, Reverend, go ahead.
Yeah.
Oh, Debbie, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I can choose. Like if I'm on an investigation and I'm feeling all this energy, I process like this.
That's how I am.
Boom, 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 until I find the energy I want.
Okay.
And then I can zone in on it.
Chris, when you eat something, when you eat certain foods, you bite them, you taste them a little, you swallow. Some foods you'll let linger in your mouth for a longer amount of time because the flavor is so special to you. That's what we're talking about.
Okay.
Right.
Sounds good. I like that.
Well, it's funny because I can walk into a place and sometimes there's multiple energies. You've got residual, you've got the living people there, you've got the animals there, you've got the spirits there. So I can zoom through the living energy in a heartbeat. The animals, I make a connection with them. Hi, how are you? That kind of thing. But I always seem to find this one energy of a spirit I really have to talk to. But I have to go through all the other energies there, the residuals, the other spirits, the animals, the living, my team. I have to get through all that until I can zone in on the one energy I'm looking for.
Okay.
And then I do that.
Yeah, everybody works a little differently. And, this kind of reminds me, I just want to say real quick, the same kind of thing, the way you process your energy or the way you interpret what Spirit has to say, the Spirit speech, as we decipher. I found it very interesting one time. We were down in Aiken, South Carolina, and there was an individual there that had a spirit box, and there were 10, 12 investigators in a room, and the spirit box was going. And, as the box was speaking, or the spirits were coming through, do you know that almost every individual in the room heard something different? And I thought that was fascinating, and I said to myself, okay, we all heard, but everybody heard something different. And same kind of thing.
When I teach my energy class, I ask people a series of questions because each of us processes sensations and energy differently. So I say, when someone says something to you, do you say, I hear what you're saying, I see what you're saying, or I feel what you're saying? And that's the way you interpret and process energy and information. Each of us has and some of us have all three. We're called, they talk about being clairvoyant and clairsentient and clairaudient, and I say if you have all of them, you're an éclair, and that's my little euphemism for somebody who has all of the abilities. But we each have a way of doing it that's really strong for us.
That's a great way to put it, Beck. Yeah. That makes so much sense to me right now.
And see what's so funny is I don't try to process living energy at all.
Yeah.
Wow.
I just will not process it unless I have to.
Is that why you say you turn off your empathy? Is that what you mean? You don't want to process?
No, I turn off. I don't know how to say. I lower my frequency.
That makes sense.
Way down. And if anything can get to that frequency, A, it's a spirit, and B, it really needs attention.
Okay. Cool.
Because otherwise, like if I go to a party and there's a lot of, like tomorrow night I'm going to a party, there's going to be 200 people there. If I don't shut down, I'm going to be a nutcase after 20 minutes.
Yeah, I'm the same way. When I'm not doing my psychic work, and Vic has seen me, I just shut it down. I don't even, people try and talk psychic with me, I don't even want to hear it, No,
I just lower my frequency down to catch that one spirit.
Debbie, thank you so much. You've been listening to the Paranormal Lounge on D.T.M. Wicked Radio, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Can I have a cigarette now?